So today I'm going to show you a way of using some commands in Linux in the bash terminal to actually access some data that's in the system. This is random data. There's a device in the system that actually, as you utilize the computer, it generates random data, and it's just a service that actually is a function that's continually doing this. So we can actually see kind of what that looks like. So I'm just going to use the command here to um, the cat command, and we can usually do that with any. We can echo out any file, and so if we do that, what we would actually do is we see some random data here that is echoed out. But one of the problems is that every time we do this, we get a write error, input output error, and the reason why is because there's some data inside of this random generated data that is basically unprintable. And so one of the things that we'll do is we're actually going to pipe this, and we use a pipe command. Now, pipe is where we send a data stream from one device to another, or one device into a program input. So the output of my cat command is going to go straight into the input of my translate command. Now, translate is another command where I can actually take characters and change them into certain ones. But in this particular case, I'm not going to actually change characters. What I'm going to do is create what's known as a filter. So I'm going to take the characters that are generally would be known as printable characters, and I'm going to leave those in the data stream. So what's going to happen is that we should see now this is continually reading the data, and now it's not stopping. So it's just a whole bunch of random data. Now, the more I use my computer, the more data gets generated here and gets random. I'm just going to stop that. But that's basically what we're going to do. Is that we have this data, and we can also continue on, and we can keep going. We can actually put that in a file. Now, you know there's a lot of data that spews out of this. So when we send it to a file, it's just going to fill up really fast. So you don't really need a lot. If you're going to collect this data, which we are, we're going to use it, and we don't need to do it for a very long time. So I'm just going to pipe it out to random datafile.txt. And sorry, need to use my arrow notation. I'm just going to send it out to the file, and it's going to get doing pretty quick. If I was just like I did this, I let it go for a while. We got some pretty good data, so that's growing. Now I can look and see how big that file is. It looks like it is pretty large. So I'm going to send out a command to actually look at that in human readable form. It's 423 megabytes of data that was generated just in those few seconds that we had that command running. So that just shows you the amount of data that's coming out of the system process, all in the background. So the next thing I want to do was I want to show you how we could use a function inside our bash shell to do something cool. We're going to take some data that in this file that we captured, and we will actually show and take the data and colorize it. Okay, and we'll also at the same time we'll slow it down a little bit. So this is a function, and we declare it with the word function in the shell. But I just printed it out so we could see it. But it's called colorscroll, and all this does is it reads a line of input, whatever the first line of the file is, and then it creates a random number with this line right here. And so while it's reading, while there's an input line to be read, we create a random number here, and then we actually send that line to the display. And this is a command that actually allows us to change the color of the text. And then we will wait some specified time, and I'll provide that as a form of input. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send my my random data file here through this function. Colorscroll, and I'm going to give it about a 0.3. But basically, it's every time it gets a line of data, it's waiting a third of a second and printing that line with a random color. So that's the first use of that tool. This is our same random data that we stored, and it go for a long time because it's 400 megabytes big. Okay, so I can get my prompt back to where it was by typing clear. Okay, and so I want to do something also a little bit different. What I want to do is show another form of pipe. And we're going to do the very same thing. We're going to pass that data through. In this case, we're going to pipe it into a program that's called Hex Dump. And it will take that data and it will turn it into hexadecimal. So it's taking that random data and it's changing its form into hex values and piping it through the colorscroll for fun. We'll just get a little color. So that's the same random data, but now we're changing it up, changing its format to just numeric format. There's our hex dump. So those are just fun things we can do with the function, with the echo commands, with random data, and with files in Linux. So I hope you enjoyed that. Just a little how-to wizardry there, and you can utilize those functions and enjoy them yourself.